because Fangorn is mountains and forest.
We got a friend here. Very nice.
Oh, he's renting.
Oh, he is renting. Oh, well, he's gone. All right, well, we continue our journey. Oops. The journey continues.
That's another thing to think about with citizenship is if you're a citizen of an area, typically you'll get more favorable rent rates. That will also ebb and flow depending on what race you are. If you're an elf, it's a little bit better in Rivendell and Lorien. So just that's another thing to keep in mind. It's important to collect those citizenships.
Mm-hmm. Got hit by these freaking hornets. Can I bash hornets? I don't think I can. No, I can't.
I don't think so. And they can poison you.
Poisoned me. No,
Yep.
no. It's not the end of the world. It just means that
yeah.
I'm going to have reduced regen here a little bit. That's one thing I think you had mentioned that was such a great idea. Oh, we definitely don't want to into that orc control. But like, for instance, I am poisoned right now, which is cool. I can see it, but I have no idea what that means. Like, even as an experienced player, I know it means reduced regen, but I don't know by how much. It's something, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in MUME that still is very opaque, and I wish we would get more information about it, especially for new players, because so much of what we know is just tribal knowledge after playing this game for so long, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in other game like MMOs, you know, World of Warcraft or whatever, you'll get little pop-ups that tell you exactly what's happening to you. And I'm not saying we should do that exactly, but
yeah, but
more information
there
is
should
good.
Be a sense. Like, even like, I do like how in general the information in MUME is vague, but there's a difference between vague and non-existent, right?
Missing,
like,
yeah.
Like, it would be completely acceptable if it was like, oh, you are poisoned and you will regen a little bit slower. Like, oh, okay, you know.
Yeah, even if it was in that terms, you don't have to tell people the exact math. You could
Yeah.
be like, you know, your regeneration rate is impacted negatively,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be okay.
Yeah, ideally there's some descriptive there, so it's like, oh, it's impacted a lot versus a little, but like, it's, you know, exactly. Like, it's just, you don't really need to. But there needs to be something. There needs to be something. Same thing with, again, you mentioned this with regen gear. Like, the fact that a forest green cloak helps your regen is completely hidden. Like, unless you identify it with the identify skill, you don't know what the gear does. Whereas, like, if you're you know, putting on a sword, you can clearly see, oh, my offensive bonus went up, you know.
Yeah, even if it said something like, you know, this item looks very comfortable, you feel like it would help you travel the world more easily or something. You know, you can wrap it up in a certain narrative language.
Precisely. We're actually going to skip that. So that is poisoned, and I really don't want to deal with that poison right now. But yeah, so this is Fangorn XP. It's a bunch of little plants. There's kind of two levels of Fangorn. There's the early level, which is all this little kind of shrub XP, these little plants, etc. And they give pretty good XP for our level. Very good. They're easy to kill. This is the most important thing. They're easy to kill. This is kind of tucked away, so it's not that evil players don't come here, but it's not a very commonly traveled area. So whether you're light side or dark side, there's a good chance you can go to Fangorn and kind of do your thing undisturbed. And this is a great way of getting a couple extra 100 XP, or extra 100,000 XP, which is fantastic. There's kind of that second layer of Fangorn, though, where you come back around like legend level, where you can start killing the trees. And this gets a little bit dangerous because obviously the Ents are trying to protect their trees, but some of the trees are evil. And obviously, if you're a dark side character, you just kill all the trees. But it is, they are much harder. You need to be substantially stronger.
It will damage your equipment, your shield, and your weapon. It's also important to note that within the forest itself, Black Numenorians, because they're technically a race of man, they can travel through this area, you know, unmolested or whatever. But orcs and trolls, if they enter Fangorn, the Ents will start freaking out and will actually hunt you.
Yes.
So it's protected from orcs and trolls, but Black Numenorians can enter and they can attack light side players here.
So yeah, we're killing these little vines and plants. One thing, I mean, I think I don't know if I've actually shown this or not, but whenever you are XPing, you want to consider it. Use the consider command, and it'll tell you like, a thick tangle of vines is much lower level than you. and it's like fairly easy. And that means you should fight it. This is a little misleading, as I think you had mentioned at one point, where sometimes it'll say like it's your level, and it would be a perfect match, and that it does not mean you want to fight it. It means that you're probably going to barely survive.
Yeah, if luck is not on your side, you miss a bash, or you're getting parried a lot or something, it might kill you, or you have to run away. You know.
Ah, we found an Ent.
Quick beam the Ent.
Yeah, let's see what he has to say here. He gives you a quest or
before.
something, right?
I've never done Quick Beam's quest. Maybe he's just telling me that.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's here to help me out.
Well, it's a very polite Ent. Very polite Ent.
Treebeard, which is the famous Ent in the stories, is here, and he has some quests.
Yeah, we'll go say hi to Treebeard here in a second. Gotta kill some more shrubs, some little plants here.
Another thing for players to be mindful of, certain mobs have certain keywords. So if you see a bandit and you can type kill man, that will attack that bandit. But you can also run into some issues because certain good aligned man creatures also have that same keyword, like the rangers or Umbri. But in Fangorn, everything has the keyword plant, and so if you are in a room with an Ent and you type kill plant, you will attack the Ent. So be mindful of that. Use another keyword like shrub or something like that.
That is an easy way to have your play session go downhill very fast. There's some special little shout outs to the books here in Fangorn, where there is these spots where you can drink water, and this water will give you kind of this growth effect, which will mean that you are, or refreshment, which will mean that you are, you regenerate moves much faster. And we're going to say hi to Treebeard, who should be over here. Ah, wise old Ent.
An old wise tree with penetrating green eyes.
Hurrum. Well, he does give... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, I love seeing the stuff in the books or the movies in MUME because it just feels, it's iconic, and I don't know, I like it.
I agreed. The more that we can do that, the better. It always is. It ties everything in. That's actually one of the things that I was very confused about, because I love seeing like Treebeard or Willow or whatever. But then on the Scepter quest that you have to fight a Nazgul to find, it never says Nazgul, and I was like, "Where's the Nazgul?" It's
I wrote that quest, so it's my bad.
Oh, really? That's so cool. I didn't know you made the Scepter quest. It is definitely one of the most unique quests in the game by far.
It has an interesting mechanic associated with holding the scepter. The scepter, basically, it's an artifact, and it operates just the same as the focused staves that light side characters get access to, but there's only one. So a single Black Numenorian or a Shamans can actually use it too. Can have the scepter, and there's some unique mechanics associated with it. I'll be intentionally vague there.
And it's very important that, well, yeah, we won't go into that. I just love
that's more advanced play.
The fact that you have to, without getting too into it, there's this like hide and seek element of like constantly running. It's just it's so cool, so cool. But all right, so going ahead and killing these shrubs. Treebeard does give a quest that you can follow, but it's well beyond our capabilities right now.
Another thing about Fangorn, we talked about in the past that if you make a campfire, it gives you a movement bonus. But in Fangorn, the Ents don't like fire. So if you make a campfire here, it will cause the Ents to come to you and stamp it out. And they might tell you need to leave Fangorn, or they'll attack you. So that's another sort of like city mechanic, like the citizenship thing. So just be mindful of that too.
There we go. Oops, we're still fighting here. Yeah, one of the reasons why Fangorn is so great, aside from the fact that XP is very easy to kill, it's just that it's so dense. It's so dense. Like we're moving like 2 rooms or 1 room, and we're just running into so much XP to kill.
the whole forest is on separate respawn timers too. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you start on one side and you make your way slowly through the forest and you get to the other side, there's a good chance that the side that you came from originally is already repopped. So people will live in Fangorn for quite a few levels. If there's no competition, if
Yeah.
there's not more than one group here or something.
And again, it's not entirely safe. It's very easy to get jumped here if the enemy on both sides is around. However, it's still
safe-ish.
It's better than nothing. We're about maybe about a little less than halfway through it right now.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things to keep in mind here is we mentioned that Rohan is close by, which is kind of a safety city type thing. Lorien is also very close. However, since we are both men, we cannot get into Lorien because we're not elves.
Because of elven racism.
Yeah, right. Most unfortunate. There are quests that you can use to get in there, but what level do you think
players,
you have to be to get that quest?
I've actually never done that quest. Same. I know what you're talking about, but there is a quest. Typically, what players will do is ask for an elf or a half elf who can enter Lorien freely to lead them in. And then there's quests within Lorien to get citizenship as a non-elf.
By the way, it's a small shout out, but whoever came up with that mechanic, so yes, you have to ask an ent to or not an ent. Why is my
your lantern?
There we go. Yeah. You have to ask a elf to lead you into Lorien if you're not a citizen, and there's other ways of getting in. But any mechanic that involves you having to ask for help from other players, I just love. I love that fact. Like, the same thing is true for looting Amun or like asking dwarves in Blue Mountains to go buy certain things. I love that because it gives people, and even like low-level characters, a thing to do where they feel like they're contributing. Like, the amount of times a newbie has been in Blue Mountains and people are like, hey, can you go check the shops for me? Like, it makes them feel important. Like, oh yeah, I'm useful. I'm level 2, but I'm useful. And I think that's just that's anytime you get the players required to work together is always just chef's kiss.
I agree, and that's something I've talked about before, but like leaning into, like, it's called Fellowship of the Ring for a reason. So like leaning into the fellowship component of the different racial groups or the different regions, I think is something that should be emphasized.
Agreed.
On the dark side too, I mean, Trolls, Orcs, and Black Numenorians bring different qualities to one another that often requires cooperation.
I think the dark side actually does it best in that there's a large chunk of the experience on dark side is the fact that you are severely limited in certain ways, and you need to overcome those limitations through working with other, like, for instance, orcs and trolls have and Black Numenorians have different locations that they can access. No one, trolls and Black Numenorians cannot go into the orc town, and this causes situations where, like, let's say a Black Numenorian needs safety, then they need to go kind of outside the city to like Guardian, where they have to rely on orcs to come and help save them or buy equipment for them or etc.
Yep.
Trolls can't cast spells.
There's certain spells that Black Numenorians get that orcs don't get, and vice versa.
Which, as much as I do love that, I'm a firm believer that there should be substantially more of that. I hate the fact that a Black Numenorian mage looks almost the same as a light side mage. Like, they should be, and especially the same thing for orcs. Like, obviously it's a lot of technical debt that would go into this, but how cool would it be if like shamans were like, there's nothing in common with a mage, and there was yeah, go ahead.
I totally agree. That's changed a little bit with like the introduction of Raised Dead on Shaman and Black Breath and Magic Blast and whatever. But because of MUME's heritage as this Deku-based mud, which is influenced by D&D, there's a lot of overlap among, even within faction, but also outside of faction. And I agree. I think they should have, that would contribute a lot towards racial and class identity. And I think that's
variety. Exactly. Having a, like, I bring this to the party, I think is so cool. I liked what they did. They tried. What was the most recent skill that they or spell they revamped for shamans? It was the healing
Well,
one.
Matt. Oh, yes.
What's it
Energy
called?
drain.
Energy drain. Yeah, I like that they did that. I haven't been keeping up with the meta in a long time. I don't know if anyone actually had found a good use for that yet, but I loved the concept.
If you have a high energy drain, you can give your group about like 50 hit points, which is huge. So that's, I mean, it's kind of more PvE oriented, but having 50 hit points, like a 50 hit point buffer, when you engage in PK, is actually pretty considerable.
I am low moves right now. Oh, I'm hungry. That's why. And
I have some meat if you need it.
I don't have any meat. Oh, thank you. Smoked meat. Very nice. A common occurrence in situations like this. So in Fangorn, there's not a lot of places where you can go kill something for meat. So if you didn't bring it, there actually is some stuff to the northwest here. We could go kill some lions. But if you didn't bring it, oftentimes you're kind of out of luck. And you're not going to die from not eating, but it means that your region's going to be very slow and painful. I have definitely been one of those terrible horse owners who has killed their horse to eat it.
It's like in a Star Wars where you you kill it and you crawl inside of it.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a very PETA-friendly game.
I've eaten horse. I think horse is delicious in real life, so
yeah.
I'm all for it.
I have, it was okay. It was okay. I had it on sushi. I don't know if where did you have like
I went to high school in Japan, and that's where I had it.
Oh, very cool. Very
raw
nice.
Horse. So. That's funny. That's exactly how I've had it too.
Yeah.
When I tell certain the Spaniards that I've eaten horse, they look at me with horror in their face.
No, man, I'm fully on board of if it's weird, I'll eat it. I'll eat it 100%.
That's my rule. I tell people I'll try anything twice because the first time, maybe it was prepared incorrectly or your mood was not, you were having a bad day or whatever. So you should always give it a second try. And if you still don't like
That's
it,
a good mentality. Yeah, giving it that second try, not just the first one. All right, let's go ahead and start moving here a little bit. This is really funny because I grew up and I was a super picky eater when I was growing up, but as an adult, I'm just like, give me everything.
Man, I feel like my kids get so much interesting food that I never had as a kid, and so I tell if you should eat this, and they spend 2 hours at dinner and they don't eat anything.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh man,
I want chicken nuggets.
Yeah, not even that. Just subsist on air and water. It seems like light and air.
Yeah, they're just photosynthesizing.
Yeah, it's aren't you guys hungry? Yeah, what if the create food spell, the magic mushroom, if it didn't really fill you, it gave this illusion of being filled, and so it would incentivize you having to get real food. But you have this stopgap of this.
I agree. Yeah, that's
to be that way.
That's a good example, actually, of something where create food is so easy and so ubiquitous that I almost never carry food on my characters because I always just get create food because it's just easier. And that's a real shame because we actually have a relatively thought out cooking system in MUME.
Food,
and it's not really utilized very much. It's almost like it's so convenient it kind of kills a little bit of the game.
I also hate the concept of just making magic mushrooms. That feels very anti Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I think different races, if they cast create food, should create different things. It's if you're a hobbit and you create it, it's like a pot pie or something. Who knows? There's more texture to it. But yeah, if there was no create food or create water, you would be incentivized to cook your food.
Or maybe it creates something that's inedible, so you have to make it with something.
Use it, yeah.
And it's still you don't need a lot of ingredients because obviously that's defeats the point of it. But there's an extra step or something. I don't know.
You can use a magic mushroom in a cooking recipe, and it gives you a little bit of a mana boost. Actually,
I think you get one mana from it.
Something like that. It's very minimal, but
just stock up with a bunch of mushroom soups or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, massive vines.
I'm level 9. I've gotten 2 levels.
Nice.
Since
We're cruising through. I have 5k until my next level.
Cool.
So we're moving right along. Well, we'll still skip this guy.
Yeah, the brown fungus are good experience. They're a little bit tougher than these plants, but they will poison you, and that's what we're avoiding.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
And certain races are more resistant to poison. Like, for instance, trolls can't be poisoned at all.
We leveled.
Nice.
Yes, trolls can't be poisoned. They also can't... Well, they can be wounded, but they don't bleed from their wounds.
Right.
Orcs are resistant.
Dwarves are resistant to poison as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Do you know why they're resistant to poison? This goes back to D&D.
No, I don't.
So Gary Gygax, the creator, one of the co-creators of D&D, he wanted dwarves to be able to outdrink any of the other races. And so when you get drunk, that's poison condition. So that's why dwarves are resistant to poison, at least in D&D.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's hilarious. Well, you would have hated Lord of the Rings then, Legolas outdrinks Gimli.
Yeah.
So. I'm still low moves. Are you still high moves?
I'm like max, dude. Yeah,
dude, what is happening? How much you weigh?
I am only carrying 46 pounds.
Oh, maybe that's it. I'm 96 pounds.
But you're high strength too, right?
Yeah, I got 19 strength right now.
Yeah,
96 pounds should not be that bad.
I have good wilderness and excellent ride, so it's not that.
I think my wilderness is not ideal. That's probably what's going on here.
Wilderness will help you. You don't need to eat and drink as often when you're outside. It'll help you create campfires more quickly, and you use less moves when traveling on foot.
Yeah, and that's the big one. The less moves is very important. Which is another example. Like boots, for instance, do that too, but you don't know.
You don't know that.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah, you'll expend or save moves depending on the type of boot that you're wearing.
Same thing with Hobbit feet. They do that too.
Yep.
That's actually one thing I really like about some of the sub-race features is some of them do a good job of advertising like, this is a different... You've got something special here, which is really cool. And so example, both the Dunedain and then I think it's like one of the elves or something have detect evil or detect magic or something. Well, the Dunedain definitely have detect evil, right?
And then the Noldo have detect magic.
Yeah,
inherently. Yeah.
And it's just it's a small thing. Detect magic. I mean, detect evil. I think is basically useless. I don't know. Maybe there's some thematicness to it. I think it's useless. But it is. I love the fact that you're constantly reminded, like, oh yeah, I'm a Dunedain. I got this. You know.
Avatar of goodness, and I can tell that you're up to no good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just because it flashes on your screen every couple. You know, oh, we're gonna kill them. Oh, never mind. We're gonna kill this thing. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, it's in your face. It's in your face, and that makes it easier to remember. We're gonna kill this huge millipede. I love the puff balls here, but we're not gonna do those.
Also, will poison us.
Yeah.
That's another bugbear I have with poison is the remove poison spell is really cheap and it's easy to get. And so you just have to have that one spell and it totally negates poison. I feel like it should maybe use a couple casts or be more expensive or maybe speed up your recovery. But like, you know, Envenom is basically nullified by this spell that's pretty easy to get. So, but I tend to have a more... I don't want to say hardcore perspective, but I think too many aspects are too easy.
Yeah, it's an interesting mechanic. Like on the flip side, I actually think, and I agree with you, I think remove poison spell is way too cheap and way too accessible. On the flip side, I think the antidote, like getting antidote, making the actual herb lore, I think is too difficult. In that it's like I think that should be most people's default, and I don't think that it should instantly remove poison the way it does. Like it should kind of like, you know, when you're getting over poison, you're poison.
Still feel sick.
Yeah, like exactly. Like, okay, fine, you're not going to die from the rattlesnake anymore, but like you should have a tick or two of it still kind of like affecting you. And then maybe you could do the same thing with the spell as well, where it's like, okay, you're not just instantly better, you're a little bit better, but you're not like full strength for another 60 seconds or something.
Or the herb lore removes it totally. I actually think herb lore should strip away positive things too. It should be like a cure all, but herb lore removes it instantly, but the spell is not instant, And so, in Tolkien's work, so much of magic is tied up in items, magic swords and stuff like that. And there's not a lot of, Gandalf does cast a few spells, and there's other instances of that, but it's mostly wrapped up in items. And so encouraging that is more true to canon, in my opinion. And of course, there's gameplay considerations and stuff. That's totally not.
Yeah.
We can't do that totally, but I think there's room to improve that.
That's so fair though, because there's so many. Yeah, we can do this. Because there's in Tolkien's world, there is magic, but magic is very rare, really. Like Gandalf, some wizards have it. It's very kind of ethereal. It's never like a spell. It's always just kind of like there's something happening. I mean, Gandalf, I guess, kind of has some spells, but like for the most part, it's very elusive. And contrarily, a lot of MUME's mechanics are tied to spells. Like MUME is a very, very spell-heavy game, even if you're not a caster. And
when you're a warrior and you have a spell, you're using Cure Light Wounds.
And that always bothered me. Like, I feel it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that warriors would want to get a spell. There should be some version of Cure Light that's not a spell.
Well, even when Frodo gets stabbed with the Morgul blade on Weathertop, Strider is using an herb lore to sort of stave off the effects of with Athelas, to stave off the effects of the wound before they get to Elrond, who maybe is either really good at herb craft or he has spells that he uses. We're not quite sure, but he's like a renowned healer, of course.
Or I mean, you could do something along the lines of like, quote unquote, a spell for warriors or something, or that accomplishes something similar to Cure Light, where you get a small boost of, again, Cure Light, not Cure Serious, like that gives you a small boost of hit points, but you I don't know, you sorry, I'm really bad at talking and typing at the same time.
No, I totally get it.
You set your bones better, or I don't know, massaged yourself or something. It gave you like a small boost, right, where you don't need this weird, crappy Cure Light spell or something. I don't know. That's probably not a great idea, but
that's also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it just feels so out of character to rely on these spells.
It's also a weakness in the mechanics of things like hit points, because your hit points aren't just like your loss of life or physical damage. It's also this like there's a bit of like morale baked into that, or like your willpower, which I guess is similar to morale, but like as you get hit, you're not getting hit so hard that you're just bleeding to death right away. Like your morale or your tiredness decreases, and then you start taking damage, and then you die. Like that's all wrapped into this concept of hit points, and there's weakness there, and we're dealing with that because it's legacy from other games and what people are used to in MMOs and whatever. And I'm not saying we have to solve that, but that's something that that's a weakness of that mechanic, I guess.
Do you know, is it a no idea to use hit points as a spell? Like as a resource for a spell? Like could like shamans theoretically...
Oh, to like sacrificial, take your hit points and heal. I think that is a no idea.
No, that's unfortunate. I think it's a cool idea. Kind of like the way that...
like Blood Knights and stuff and other games, yeah.
I don't know, it sounds very shaman-y to me, but it might be a no idea. Here, let's help no idea.
Let me look. I can help while you're sleeping. Let's see here.
Got a list of no ideas here. Ents, wargs, or horses as player characters. Well, you technically can be a horse.
A horse?
Well, you could. I don't know. You can't metamorph anymore, but
yeah, a spell for transferring hit points to mana, but I guess there's nothing there for hit point to hit point. That might be interesting.
Well, I mean, hit points to mana. Technically, you could get very technical with the wording there and be like, well, we're not transferring hit points to mana. You're just paying for the spell with hit points. But I don't know. Or maybe even, I guess you could get around it where you still cast the spell with mana, but you lose hit points for casting the spell. I don't know.
Yeah. That does feel shaman-y, but maybe we're so like inundated with the concept of the World of Warcraft shaman or the D&D shaman that it's not like, of course, oh yeah, that makes sense, but like when transferred to Tolkien's world, it's not.
Yeah, maybe not.
I
Maybe
don't
not.
know.
Maybe not.
I mean, I'm of the opinion that Tolkien is the father of modern fantasy, so everything else, D&D onward, is a derivative of Tolkien.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
What would you... Oh, so someone is out
past the
here
military.
killing this stuff.
Yeah, we passed the guy.
Oh, I didn't even see. I was not
Yeah.
paying attention. Who was it?